Who's going to be first to say hi today? Who's it?
Donna.
Donna, first hello. Good shout out to Donna. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started a little bit today. Looking at a gecko. We're here to talk geckos today. Of course, there's 1,000+ species of geckos on the planet. Some geckos found in desert areas, some found in rainforests, and everything in between. And in between, I mean, nobody of them lives in the ocean, in the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean. It's just not a place for geckos, because they would get eaten by whatever sea creatures eat whatever they eat. And anyway, so geckos are found in a lot of different environments. We have some from a few of them today. So as everybody's signing on, we got a couple of any other shout outs up quick we should say hi to? Yeah, everybody. Hi.
Logan and Elijah.
Oh, Logan and Elijah, hello. Laura Lee, hello. And everybody else who joined in, let's go with a good Monday morning hello.
Naturally, so, Rachel is here. She said happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Okay, that's an oxymoron, but okay, thanks for the greetings there. It's, you know, a happy Monday. That's like sad Saturdays. It's just, they don't go together. Anyway, all right, well, let's go ahead and talk geckos. I want to start with one that most of us have probably seen. Not that one, but this one. This little gecko here is one that even if you live in the middle of the city here in the desert, you have probably seen. And it's one that I get a lot of questions about, so hence we're talking about it. This gecko you're looking at here is called a Mediterranean gecko. It's a type of house gecko that's generally found in the Mediterranean. I know, you're wondering, wait a minute, why do we have Mediterranean geckos in, you know, Gilbert, Chandler, Phoenix, Tucson, LA, and all these other places? Well, you see, this is an invasive species. Now, we're going to talk a lot more about invasive species tomorrow, but this guy is from the Mediterranean. He's not naturally found anywhere here in the U.S., but years and years and years and years ago, some of these got loose in Florida, and they have now, their population is spread all across the southern United States. But the interesting thing is they generally live around people. They live in metropolitan places. So he's an urban lizard. He's a typical lizard, though, which is kind of different for us here in the desert because, well, this guy, he has little tiny pads on his feet for sticking onto trees and rocks and stuff so he can climb all over. Well, in the deserts of Arizona, we don't normally have a lot of trees and rocks and such for them to live in, so our native geckos here look a lot different. In fact, I want to show you one of those in a minute, but I want to first talk a little bit about this guy because I get so many questions. These guys can walk on walls, I mentioned. They can walk on glass. So you find this guy running around outside your house. They're nocturnal, as most all geckos are, and they're insectivores, like almost all geckos are. So he's out there eating bugs. That's why they live around the city. We have more things for them to climb on, a little bit more humidity, and a lot more places for them to hide during the day. Because being nocturnal, they come out at night. That's right. So, what's he doing here? Well, he traveled over. He's, you know, they breed here, they live here, and they live around the houses, and they eat the bugs, which is, of course, a very, very great thing for anybody to have one of these around. You can kind of see the bumpy skin that it has. That's kind of unusual. Some geckos are very, very smooth, as we'll see in a minute, but geckos have a lot of variety to them. This one here has these bumps, and also most geckos have kind of a thin skin. So if we were to hold this guy up to a bright light, we could actually see all of his insides. In fact, even without the bright light, you can kind of see, maybe, his belly there some. And this guy here, I don't know if you can see his guts pretty well. Yeah, so you can kind of see right into the gecko here. So I'm going to put this guy back. I'm going to grab another gecko out. But in the process of grabbing this gecko out, he's going to show you something amazing about geckos. I hope anyway. See, first off, geckos are lizards. I want to set that straight up. A lot of people go, is that a gecko or is that a lizard? I don't really know. Is that a Pomeranian or a dog? Yeah, it's both the same. See, geckos are a certain family of lizards. Geckos are a little bit different from other lizards. I mentioned them being nocturnal. Most lizards are diurnal. They come out during the day. And that's because physiologically they have to. See, most lizards, they have skin that they have to have vitamin D from the sun. And they have to use that to be able to stay alive. And geckos, they don't have to. They don't have to have the vitamin D from the sun. So geckos, they can come out at night, which of course the advantage there is, when do a lot of bugs come out? At night. So most lizards are out during the day, and you'll see some in your backyards. Even if you live in the city, you'll have tree lizards, and you'll have spiny lizards and fence lizards, depending where you are. I know we have people all over the world watching, but the geckos are the ones that can come out at night. So that makes them different. But one of the other things that makes geckos special is geckos are the only lizards that can make a vocal sound. They can make a noise. Now, I say they make a noise, and things like monitor lizards, Gila monsters and stuff, they can hiss. Most animals can do that. You're just blowing out your air. But geckos actually have vocal cords. They can make noise. Now, this guy, his noise is going to be like a little eep kind of sound that you can't really hear. And that's, well, going to be hard to get him to do because, well, he's been around people for a while and he doesn't do that. But I want to get one of our desert native lizards out. And this gecko, if we get in real quiet and real close, we might be able to hear it make a noise. So let's hear... See if we get noise. Okay. As I grab it, it's going to try and scare me by making a noise. Maybe. Of course, I say this now, it won't. Ready? You hear it? It's like it's squealing. I don't know if you all could hear that, but the banded gecko here is a lizard species that we have right here. Oh, he's squirming around. Give him just a minute here. Yeah. All right, let's try this one more time. Get you in a good position. I have to be real careful with geckos. We'll talk about that in just a minute too. But I think, there we go. I think we can all see. Nope, don't squirm too much there. This little guy. There we go. I think, there we go. Everybody can see that little guy? Look at his tail moving back and forth like a little cat. He does that when he's stalking his food. So this guy's coming up on a cricket or something, and he sneaks up on it. His tail starts going like a cat's tail. It's really cool to watch as he's stalking in there. And then, boom, he'll grab that cricket in his mouth and swallow him. Now, he has very, very smooth skin, so quite a bit different from the bumps on the Mediterranean gecko. And if you look at the feet, his feet are a lot different. You see, geckos, normally in most of the world, they have pads on their toes for gripping and holding on. I mentioned the Mediterranean gecko can walk on glass, rocks, trees. This guy lives in the desert, in the low, hot deserts here in the southwestern United States and into Mexico and stuff. And because he lives in the desert, there's not a lot to climb on. You don't want to live up in the trees, so he lives on the ground and in the ground. So his little feet are for digging. And he'll dig under a rock. He'll dig a hole in the ground. He'll maybe go under a little log or something. A little area in the ground where he can hide during the day. Then he comes out at night as it's starting to get dark. He's crepuscular and nocturnal. Most lizards, they come out when maybe it's still a little bit daylight, but they're out during the night. But you'll notice he got the name banded gecko because he's, well, banded. He has these bands on him. Now, his coloration makes him aposematic, which is our big word that means looking dangerous. Once again, animals that have a bright red, yellow, or orange with a black are generally dangerous. This guy has the yellow and the black, and a lot of animals see that and go, oh, that means danger, let's leave it alone. Well, we have another lizard here in the area that this gecko lives that has some yellowish or orangish with black, the Gila monster. This is not a Gila monster. I don't know how many times I've had somebody go, I think I found a baby Gila monster, and then I see the picture, and it's one of these. Very unusual to find a baby Gila monster. That's just for some reason a thing most people never get to see. Even finding an adult Gila monster is tough. We've referenced that in the Gila monster beaded lizard video. You can watch that if you want to know more about that. But this gecko looks kind of enough like it that people might go, it's a baby Gila monster. It's going to attack me and kill me. No. An adult's not even going to do that. But this guy is not. He's a banded gecko. He's much nicer. He's much more prolific. And he's out there helping us by eating the bugs. Now, of course, these geckos, even though he has the colors, there are some things that will try to eat him. Of course, this guy here, by his size, a lot of things like snakes. They like to eat banded geckos. A lot of different kinds of snakes. Mostly nocturnal snakes like night snakes. Yeah, they have some sidewinders, things like that that come out at night. But also small mammals will eat them, foxes and ringtails and things like that. Even tarantulas, giant desert centipedes, and even the big scorpions sometimes will eat them. So, and not to mention all the birds that might be out at night, the little owls and things. Yeah, lots of things will try to eat him. And he's not reproducing very well, so he has to be able to stay hidden. With his coloration out at night, he actually blends in. As he's going through the scrubland of the desert, if there's some moonlight, it's throwing little shadows, and these little branch shadows are making little lines, and the banded gecko can hide pretty well. So it works out very well for him. By the way, the gecko you're looking at here, he's not. Some animals are able to live because they have a lot of babies and they grow up real fast. This guy, well, gal actually, and this is a gal, they usually lay 2 eggs. And the interesting thing is, remember that whole see-through belly thing? Yeah, you can see if the female has eggs inside. You just hold it up to the light and you can see the eggs in the belly there. The female will lay 2 eggs. But that's nice. She'll lay 2 eggs at a time, and she'll do that all season long. So they come out from hibernation here, usually April or May, depending on temperature and weather, and then they go in about October, November, and they'll lay eggs about every few weeks through there in different places, hoping that some of those will grow up. And of course, all of them are out there helping us. By the way, I mentioned this is a female. Some geckos, it's easier to tell males from females just by looking at them. You have to look closely at this one to see, but if you look at the base of the tail right here, you don't see anything. That's because that's a female. A male, he would actually have 2 little tubercles, little sticking out on the side. Just 2 little tiny, look like skin tag things on the side, and the males have those. This one being a female, she doesn't. By the way, geckos, that tail, not only does it use it for, kind of letting you know he's hunting food, but that's his main defense. If an animal does try to eat it and they grab the tail, like most lizards' tail, they can break off. And most geckos have very, very fragile tails. They're very easy. Some geckos can take and just throw their tails off. Yeah, they feel threatened. Oh, he's going to try and eat me. Oh, no, what do I do? And then, boop, he just slaps his tail real hard. The tail comes off. The tail then starts wiggling. Really freaky, weird stuff. The animal that now sees his tail wiggling all of a sudden goes after the tail. Rest of the gecko can jump down a hole or run off on the other side of the tree, depending on where he's at. And the banded gecko is no exception. Very, very fragile tail. Now, of course, geckos being lizards have the tails break off. They can grow back. That's why they have their tails. Now, if she had had her tail break off before and it grew back, that part would look different. The pattern's different and things on there. So this one here, very nice looking banded gecko that we have here in our low desert areas. So it's different from geckos that live in the forested areas, like the Mediterranean geckos, which live in the urban forest, of course, more so than the actual desert areas. But as cool and different as this lizard is, let's go to another gecko. Let's put this one back under. Oh, you hear it again? Nope, it's done now. There, oh, little squeak, little squeak. Okay, well, we're going to put that one back in there and throw this in just so it doesn't jump out or anything. And then I want to go to our opening shot gecko here. One that is big in the pet trade now that maybe you've heard of, maybe you've not. But this is I think, a beautiful, beautiful type of gecko. This is the crested gecko. Now, the crested gecko, this one here is actually a female crested gecko, and if you look closely at the belly, there's actually some eggs in there. Doesn't hurt her at all to handle her, and doesn't, she's not gonna, not lay eggs or anything now, but she's kind of a little on the chunky side because she has these eggs in there. Now, the crested gecko, it's from New Caledonia, and the crested gecko, actually I'm gonna put it in a more natural, comfortable. There you go. Right like that. Maybe. There you go. Okay. The crested gecko has kind of an interesting story because they're big in the pet trade. A lot of people breed them here in captivity in the United States. That's where this one came from. I didn't go to New Caledonia to catch it, mostly because who knows where New Caledonia is anyway. But it's also known as the eyelash gecko. And if you look closely at the head, you can see where it got that name. Look at that. It has these little hair-like scales over the eyes that look like eyelashes. Now, an interesting thing about geckos is that geckos, even though most of them have eyelids, it's funny because geckos are known for licking their eyes. That's their favorite way to clean their eyes. They stick their tongue out from here bloop, and lick the eye. Now, I doubt that it's going to do that today. You're not going to lick your eye for us, are you? No, but I'll look right at the camera and look cute. Yeah, how cute is that? Oh, cute little guy, gal. Now, I do want to show you a male, so let's see if I can find him. See, these guys live in forested areas, so they're great climbers. And, oh, he's up here at the top now. He looks a little bit different. His coloration's a little bit different. And that's one of the things about these being in the pet trade is that you can have a lot of different, a lot of variation in the colors and things. By the way, before 1994, eyelash geckos were thought to be extinct off the planet. They didn't exist anymore. Then there was a big tropical storm that hit New Caledonia in 1994, and they found a bunch of these geckos. Now they're actually making a comeback, you know, this many years later, and a lot of that's due to people being able to breed them in captivity. And of course, they're a great little creature if you want a pet here in the pet trade. But looking at these guys, first off, I mentioned, whoa, don't jump. I'm going to put her back in here, and we're going to use him for a minute. We'll put you right over there. Sometime in the next few days, yep, you're going to go hide back there, I know. She's going to want to lay her eggs. So we have a little place in here that has some vermiculite and stuff. There's like a little hole back here. I don't know if you can see into there, but that's like her little nest area. So she's going to go in there and lay some eggs, hopefully, sometime in the next day or two. She's looking like she's getting pretty ready to do that. But one of the things I do want to show you about these is those pads. You can see the feet, see those toes. If you were to see the bottom of the toes under a microscope, they have little tiny hairs called cilia. And these things can grip on. So when this guy puts his foot onto something, it can grip on and hold pretty well. And whoop, there we go. They can jump too. I hope you got to see that, yeah. I don't think we can recreate that for you, but let's see if we can get him to jump. You gonna jump over there again? No. It's like that didn't work out so well last time, did it? No, not like you had planned in your mind. Oh, look at that. He's sticking his tongue out. Wait. Oh, you should walk. Yep, there you go. Lick your eye. I told you. Isn't that the craziest thing? He's like, what? All I'm doing is cleaning myself here. Yeah, there you go. Hey, y'all should try that at home. Let me know how it works for you. Try and clean your eye with your tongue. Yeah, if it doesn't work, you know, grab your sibling, clean their eye. It's fine. It's a partnership thing. It works. No, don't do that. That's gross. But I wanted to talk a little bit about these feet. So what I'm going to see if I can get this guy to do is we can get him to stick to the glass. Now, he feels on my hands like maybe he's getting ready to shed. Maybe not so much. So there he is, stuck to the glass. There you go. Look at that. Now you're looking at the bottom of his feet. If you can look very closely with our magic camera here. Now you probably can't see it, but those little lines, they have little tiny hairs that you just cannot see that grip on and hold on to that glass. Now, an interesting thing about these geckos is they still have their tail. Now, theirs is actually partly what we call prehensile. It can grab on with that tail. Yeah, but at the same time, crested geckos do have a fairly fragile tail that can break off. But they climb around on all these trees, and they can use that to help them grip on, just like that. I'm going to see if he'll show you his jumping abilities here. You want to jump back up into your little spot over there? I don't know if he wants to do that. He's like, well, why don't you give me a hand here? Tell you what, you're going to go up into there? There we go. Yep, he wants to go up and hide for the day up in his little tree branch. Maybe he'll go down and hide behind the little spot there. So, couple questions though coming in while you're watching these guys have some fun.
How many eggs will the crested gecko lay?
Oh, crested gecko eggs. Most geckos are going to lay 2 eggs. Crested geckos, they usually do the same, and it's the same thing. They'll lay 2 eggs, and then a few weeks later, it's a little bit longer in between. The clutches are called. Every time they lay an egg, it's called a clutch with the crested geckos and like the banded geckos. But generally, geckos are going to lay 2. Now, the Mediterranean gecko, they'll lay 4, 5, 6 eggs. So they're a little bit high above the curve, if you will. And it's kind of strange because some geckos lay soft-shelled eggs and some lay eggs with a hard shell. And it just depends on the species for that. So very good question. Another question coming in.
Do all geckos have thicker tails?
No. Well, I say thicker tails. They actually have some thinner tails as far as lizards. But a lot of lizards, like fence lizards, whiptail skinks, they have long, skinny tails, and most of their body is, their tail's longer than their body. Well, with geckos, usually it's about the same, or the tail's a little bit shorter. And you can kind of definitely see that's what's working here. So, with that being said, I do have another gecko I want to show you. As cute as a crested gecko is, now maybe you're thinking, oh, I'd love to have one of those as a pet. People breed them here. They do great as pets if you know what you're doing. They need a little bit more humidity because they're not from the desert. So they have to be sprayed down. We have a little misting thing we spray in here once a day. And they need to have a lot of room to climb, whether it's on glass or sticks and stuff. So you can have a lot of a different... Let me see this guy. He's there. They're both right down in there right now. Kind of a interesting look. But you know what? We have other geckos. One more gecko that I want to talk about today that is a little bit different. And as cute as these crested geckos are, the typical gecko I want to talk about. And if we all listen carefully, I'm hoping this one will make some noise for you as well. You notice the crested gecko is silent. There's no reason for them to make noise. They've grown up around people and they know we're not going to mess with them. This next gecko, and when I say this next gecko is your typical gecko, I'm talking worldwide. In fact, the scientific name of this gecko is gecko. That's how typical of a gecko it is. Genus gecko, species gecko. Spelled a little bit differently, Google it. But Gekko is the genus, and then Gecko is the species. But let's see if we can hear this one and see if we can get a little bit of, well, now I'm kind of wanting to, all right. Don't know if it's going to make some noise. I gave it a few places to hide here today, so let's see. This little guy there, oh, there it is. Nope, stay, come here. You ready? And, oh, yep. I didn't say which end the noise came out of. We can, hey, hi, how you doing? All right, I'm going to, yeah, oh, wait, he's got, like, spring-loaded mouth. This is a tokay gecko. And the tokay gecko has this really, really big mouth. And you get the idea. This guy looks like he means business. And you heard the little noise, right? Kind of sounded like maybe a little booting from the back there, right? But this guy actually is making that noise through here. And it's funny because he can't... Wait. He's going to say something. What's that? I think I can save you a lot of money on your car insurance. Anyhow, yeah, that's a different gecko. That's a kind of day gecko. This is the Gephardt gecko. Watch, he's like, I can save you lots of money. Go to Stephen Gephardt Insurance. Yeah, whatever. In any case, the gecko you're looking at here has this big mouth, and even though you can't get him to keep it closed, it's kind of funny. It's like, close your mouth. But if you put your finger in, boop, now you can't get him to open. Okay, we're done. Open the Dude, we're done. Look at how hard he's biting. See his eyes going down into there every time he tightens a little. And I feel it. I know you're wondering, does it hurt when a tokay gecko bites you? Yeah, it does. This one is not full grown. It's about half grown. So I wasn't afraid to put my finger in. And normally they let go fairly soon after biting down. And we'll just keep live here until the gecko changes its mind and releases my finger from the grips of its powerful jaws. Could be a while. So let's talk about geckos. Look at the feet. He's got those pads for sticking to glass, mostly because he lives in the rainforests of Asia, and he has a lot of big, smooth bark trees to climb on. So these grip pretty well. And now he's like, look, you want to give me like high five? Boom! There we go, high five. But he's not wanting to to release yet. Yeah. Well, so look at the skin. He's got the bumpy skin like the Mediterranean gecko. That's kind of cool. Oh, and the tail. He's got a tail about as long as it... Oh, I lied. This one's lost its tail before. Imagine that. He was fighting with something. Hard to imagine, right? Yeah, it wasn't me. I want that to go on record. But this gecko, you can see where the tail broke up, like right in here. It's very awkward for me to see. There you go. See how it, boom, and it kind of goes to the side. It's got like a little kink in there. But see how the tail looks different from here back. From here back. That's where it broke off before. And then when it grew back, none of the little bumps on there anymore. Now it has a smooth skin. The coloration's there, but it doesn't have any of the vertebrae inside. Normally a lizard would have vertebrae down its back, all the way to the tip of the tail. Well, once that breaks off, it doesn't grow the bones back. It just grows muscle in there. And then, oh, and I wanted to show you how he likes to hold on. Now, if you look very closely, maybe you can see the little tiny teeth if the angle is right in there. Geckos, like most lizards, do have teeth. Oh, look, he wants to say hi, hello. Yeah, there you go, you're good. Thanks, we're friends again. That would be the gecko saying, no, we're not friends, I guess, yeah. Doesn't it sound like he's got gas? Yeah, I know. I can say fart, right? That's not, yeah, he farted. No, he wasn't, but he makes that noise. By the way, he got the name, there we go. He got the name, what's that? Yeah, you get the idea. You come across this thing in the wild, you're an animal looking to eat a tokay gecko, and you get too close, and he opens his mouth, and you go, what's going on there? And then, boop, yeah, he makes that farting noise. You're thinking, oh, I don't want to mess with this. It works out well. But he got the name tokay gecko because of another noise it makes. You see, the tokay gecko, when it is mating, and it's yelling out across the rainforest, trying to get all the female geckos to come over, it says the word tokay. Yeah, it's like, tokay! It's really, really strange and loud. Now, sometimes they kind of prime for it, and it's like, tokay! And it's really funny until it happens in your house in the middle of the night. Yes, they're a nocturnal creature, and they yell, tokay! Yeah. Now, as odd as that might be, imagine, hypothetically, you're a person who works with these animals, and let's say, hypothetically, you work with live animals, with people and do live shows, and let's just say maybe you travel around, and you have to go across the country or the state, and you travel with these kinds of lizards, and you decide a tokay gecko is great for a show. People need to learn about it. It's got amazing features, so we'll take them. Yeah, that's my life. So, I had this happen a number of years ago. I was traveling, and sure enough, I had a tokay gecko with me, and staying at a hotel and stuff where, you know, I don't really try to tell them I have pets, because they're not really pets, right? And they're not loose and going to the bathroom on the floor and chewing things up. They're in containers. I have them in there. Well, I had a tokay gecko, and I went to check out the next morning, and the guy at the front desk is like, oh, you're in room 142 or whatever it was. I don't know. But I was like, yeah, I'd like to check out a 140. Oh, you're the guy. Are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Why? And he said, well, we had the people next door were saying that in the middle of the night, they heard somebody yelling. And they were yelling, I'm okay, it's okay. And I'm like, why would I'm thinking, was I sleepwalking or something? And then I realized, oh, I bet it was when the lizard was making noise. Yeah, in the middle of the night, the tokay started yelling, tokay, okay, tokay. So loud that the people in the next hotel room heard it and thought it was a human yelling, I'm okay. And they were worried about it. And so, of course, the guy's asking me this, and I got to tell him, oh, yeah, no, I'm fine. That was just my... And then I realized I can't really tell him I had a lizard in the room because that freaks people out sometimes. So I had to tell, oh, that was my phone. I was watching a video. Sorry about that. I hope everybody slept well. And then we were good. Yeah, it worked out well. So if you have a tokay gecko, which not on the beginner's list of lizards that you might want to have, you might keep that in mind if you're having to travel with them. By the way, the tokay gecko, he's a little bit bigger. So, and I mentioned the size. I'm going to try and get this in a position where you can actually see the gecko without having it attach itself to my hand again. There you go. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good look at the lizard, right? Yeah, you can see the little bumps over here. And of course, yeah, what are you oh, you're looking at the viewers and say hi? I should have had you do the opening hellos. Yeah, Hey, it would be like, hey, okay, Donna, okay, yeah. In any case, this thing will get to be about 12 inches long, so it's got some growing to do. It'll get thicker as well. The head will get a lot bigger. The muscles will get a lot bigger. And oh, look at the ears. Can you see that? Can you see the ears there? Yeah, he's got a big hole in the head right there. Yeah, that's the ears. That's typical of most lizards, by the way. These guys can live about 8 years, which is pretty impressive, really. Well, until you realize the crested geckos will live about 15 years or so. So definitely a little bit of difference there. But in any case, the tokay gecko, he eats insects, but he also will eat, like, you know, bigger bugs and things like centipedes, scorpions, sometimes smaller geckos, because, well, he's got a pretty big mouth, and anything he can fit in that mouth, he can get down. One thing I forgot to mention is that crested geckos, they do eat insects, but they're big fruit eaters. That's kind of unusual for geckos as well. Tokay gecko here, every once in a while, he might try a little piece of fruit, but generally he's out there trying to eat things like fingers and, well, yeah, we covered that, didn't we? Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that these guys have been pretty interesting creatures. One thing I do want to mention about them all is the conservation. These things, some of these that you can find in pet stores, that's actually a good thing. People are not going out in the wild and catching them now. They're breeding them here in captivity so people can enjoy them. But they actually have some issues out in the wild. In fact, one of the things that I didn't mention about the crested geckos, believe it or not, the crested, which I'll get this one out too while we're finishing. We're going to male one more time, buddy. Come here. Yeah, stay away from the tokay. He's got an attitude. Yeah. And we'll aim you that way. If you're going to jump. No, don't jump this way. What are you? Here, come here. We can put you. There we go. All right. So, hi, how you doing? No, it's not food. Don't look at him like that. The crested gecko, believe it or not, one of the biggest predators and accidental predator, but predators of it are actually a little tiny creature. That's right. They're called little fire ants. And where it lives, they have these little fire ants that will attack it by the thousands. They'll get full-grown adults, but usually they're getting babies. And y'all see that? That's right. You wish you had those kind of reflexes. I'm impressed. I didn't know I had them. I got to be honest. So, can you look this way though, and not jump? That'd be great. Yeah. So, we have these two geckos here that I think are pretty amazing creatures. Geckos are a very special family of lizards, and they're out there mostly eating bugs. Yeah, sometimes, right? And they also will eat sometimes the fruit and things like this guy will. But they're an interesting creature that if you knew was a pet, well, we'll talk about that in another episode. What lizard makes a good pet for me, right? Yeah, what you look like you're wanting to jump, so you don't really, there's nothing, why would you jump down? There's nothing to see there. Yeah, in any case, a couple of things I want to throw out to all of you that are watching. First off, a big thank you for sitting through yet another episode. I hope you enjoyed learning about the geckos. Also, I got an update, and yes, the merchandise that some of you ordered should be ready to roll today or tomorrow, and you should start arriving that then this week. And we're getting ready to change things up. We've been doing some work during the off times this weekend, and I don't know where the gecko's going, but anyway, I just keep telling you about geckos because geckos are cool. And that one, oh no, yep, he thinks he's gonna escape. So let's put you on here. I tell you what else we can do while we're sitting right here. We'll let you see tokay gecko doing all kinds of gecko-y things, and let go of me and stick on. Nope, on the table's good, I guess, but I want to show them how you can. You and your glass running, yeah, stick up to the, okay. Well, it doesn't want to stay very still, and, well, here, you want to stick on here, stick to the glass right there. There you go, just hang out like a lizard. There you go. Just sticking to the glass, hanging out, being cool. There you are. In any case, and we'll get you later. Okay, thanks. Have fun. Enjoy your running around. There we go. Okay, it's time for you to go back in. Geckos are fun. Geckos are great. Just hold on to them, and that makes them way better. Okay, so I was in the middle of telling you we're going through some changes here. We've had a lot of people that have mentioned that children like to watch this show. That's great. That's why we're doing it, is because all these kids that can't go to school right now need to have some fun and learn in a setting that I think is better than a classroom, hence the name of our series. But apparently younger kids, they can't have Facebook because they're not old enough, and they don't have a Facebook account. So to make things easier for everyone, we're going to change platforms. We're going to move these lives, these Better Than a Classroom edutainment sessions from Facebook to YouTube, where anybody can jump on, and it's easier to share with your friends. You got that friend that's like, hey, how can I watch this? What do my kids need to do? Boom, you send them a link. And we can set it up to where it's easier to do our lives over there. And I do appreciate everybody who helped us get enough subscribers we can run all this way. So we've been working on it. I think we're ready. And we always will find out the first one, right? So we're going to, next week, we're going to start doing everything from the YouTube platform. So, we'll keep you apprised as we go through. But be ready to switch over to watching that at 11 o'clock Arizona time on YouTube. And we're actually cutting back a little bit. This week, we're going to have today's Gecko thing, and then we're going to go to Tuesday and Thursday. We found that doing it every day, I know you guys appreciate it, and I know some of you aren't able to catch them live. You go back and watch them later. And yeah, we put out 26 episodes now with this, which is 2 seasons on TV normally. And that's a lot. And what we found is that it is getting a little bit much, and that we're hoping by slimming it down to twice a week instead of every day, that you all will still be able to tune in. In fact, maybe more people will be able to catch it. Hopefully this all works. We'll see how that works. And if it's not, we got to go back to doing things. That's fine too. But we also need some full days of not being interrupted filming to be able to take care of these guys, fix some water features and enclosures and stuff like that. So we also are always looking for new ideas on materials. So if you have an animal you want to know about, you want to have a question about one of these more in depth, maybe we can do something like that as well. But with that being said, tomorrow we're back here on Facebook. Doing it on this page live. We're doing that at 11 a.m. Arizona time, just as always. Tomorrow, we're actually going to talk about invasive species. It's a term that you've heard me use a lot during a number of different episodes. And we're going to focus on invasive species. What is it? Where are they? What kind of things are? And what makes them invasive? And so on. You might be surprised on some of the creatures that are actually invasive. Like today we talked about with the Mediterranean gecko. But the tokay gecko, the crested gecko, all these geckos, definitely interesting, cool creatures. Thanks again to Abiding Impression for the gear and the online store. Brave Wilderness, as always, those guys over there are great. If you're not catching their daily lives on YouTube at 10 a.m. Arizona time, you need to do that. Also, be sure to help out everybody you know to help them keep watching these. We do appreciate it. And once again, tip jar information will be there if you want to help by, throwing some money at us. We definitely appreciate that. Once again, not expected, but definitely appreciated. So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today and learning about these amazing lizards, the little family of geckos. And, of course, pretty interesting, cool creatures as long as you keep your fingers out of their mouth. Yeah. With that, we'll see you tomorrow as we talk invasive species and follow up later on in the week as we have some fun with other things as well. In case you're wondering, Thursday the plan is chinchilla. We've had a lot of people asking about that cute little creature, and in a little bit different setting on Thursday, we will definitely talk about those. Have some fun with that. So, thanks again. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, as we learn about other cool, amazing creatures. Okay.